We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Welcome to Raw Naked Truth. In our last podcast, we discussed the disaster that is the Build Back Better bill. After the podcast, Senator Joe Manchin made a statement that he would not back the bill without looking into the costs and economic effect of the bill. In other words, he will be looking at exactly what we discussed, and he will not back the bill unless the economic effects we discussed are addressed. Congratulations to Joe Manchin for standing up to the wackos in his party and relying on facts before passing a bill. So now on to today's podcast. As we record this, it's Election Day 2021, and one of the big issues that has been talked about is critical race theory. So we decided to look at what exactly CRT is. And while there are many definitions of CRT, all the definitions have a few things in common. They all claim that America is systemically racist and that our education system needs to teach about the horrible things that America has done to the African American community. It also teaches that minorities are victims and whites are oppressors. Well, with so many people coming up with different definitions, we decided we would look at the origins of CRT. Where did this come from? Well, critical race theory was created as part of an academic investigation as to why racism keeps recurring despite liberal policies to prevent it. Now, looking into this, it becomes very clear that the people behind this academic study had one major blind spot, and that's that they never considered the idea that these liberal policies fail because they're poorly put together and poorly implemented. These policies were never going to stop racism because, one, they looked at a subset of facts instead of all the facts, and two, they're put together slipshod by people who think it's more important to do anything than it is to do something right. Liberal academics cannot imagine the idea that the policies that they push forward are flawed. They would rather spread the idea that the country is racist at its core rather than explore the idea that their policies are misguided and badly formed. While we agree that all of America's history should be taught, the good and the bad, the idea that every white is racist and the system as a whole is racist is ludicrous. Now, there are systemic problems. We're not saying racism doesn't exist in certain areas. And as an example, in the very liberal state of Connecticut, both the state housing department and the formula for education funding have been found to be racist by the courts. Both of these have been found to be discriminatory. Yet, Connecticut is controlled by a Democratic governor and has the previous governor, also a Democrat. The state house, both houses, controlled by Democrats, and all of these liberal Democrats have refused to change these policies. So, how can you expect liberal policies to fight racism when the liberals themselves are refusing to fight racism? When you remove race and just look at successful people, you'll find people of all races and religions succeed. And what ties those successful people together is a culture of learning and a strong work ethic. Now, let's be clear. When I say learning, I don't mean our education system. Successful people learn on their own. They read. They look things up. They find facts. They don't rely on a compromised educational system, which is now pushing bad ideas like critical race theory. Now, you'll see that this culture of learning and work ethic crosses all races and religions. It's got nothing to do with color, creed, gender. All of the successful people, no matter what race, religion, whatever group you want to lump them into, show that they can succeed by continuing to learn, by taking real education seriously, and by having a work ethic. So it shows that success is more of an individual achievement and not based on race. The fact is, the liberal bias that non-whites need their help is inherently racist. They assume they are superior and others need their help. So is it any wonder that their policies don't get rid of racism when the reasoning behind them is racist? And you're starting to see people talk out to this of all creeds and colors. In Minneapolis today, they are voting to replace the police with a Department of Public Safety. Now, they have not defined what this Department of Public Safety would do, how it would be organized, but African American leaders have spoken out against the plan. They want to refund the police. Why? Because they've seen crime go up in their neighborhoods since the defund the police movement. And in fact, African American leaders have called defunding the police in Minneapolis a progressive/white supremacist plan. Yes, you heard me right. African American leaders are calling the progressives white supremacists. So again, how do you expect liberal policies to stop racism when your own motives are being questioned? This is why critical race theory is bad, because it started with a faulty premise and justified the left's thinking. And it keeps going on, because Ibram X. Kendi, a CRT advocate, author, and professor of humanities at Boston University. And yes, that's the same Boston University that AOC went to, cited a study in a tweet. And this study by Intelligent found that 34% of white students who applied to colleges falsely claimed they were a racial minority on their application. And 77% of these students were accepted to college. Now, while Kendi was trying to bring attention to the fact that claiming to be a minority when you're not is clearly fraud, he removed the tweet when it was pointed out that this wouldn't happen if white privilege weren't a myth. The study actually showed that the white privilege that liberals keep trying to push doesn't actually exist. It is a perception, and it is one that the left is pushing because they want to keep the divide. So the evidence states that white privilege and CRT are pushed by the left to convince minority communities that they are victims and they can't succeed without the left's help. So where is the racism coming from? Well, clearly it's being pushed by the left as a tool for their agenda. That's the raw naked truth. I'm Eric Lopkin. We'll see you next time.